online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads from over 200 countries and your #1 source in after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
I love our intro. I just feel so bad.
I just always, the shoulders go first. It goes shoulder, shoulder,
and then
shoulder,
hands.
shoulder.
Where's Shondo? Shondo would break it down to our intro.
Yes, he would bring his southern self.
Well,
Break it down.
welcome to our quest, the Quest After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. I'm Melina, and to my left we have the beautiful
I'm Danielle.
and
the better one.
The better one. She's not from Chicago. She's not better. So we're really excited. Oh, we never got this far before, have we?
Yeah, we did last week.
Gosh.
We fully embraced it too.
It's crazy. So today we're covering 2 episodes again. Thank you, APC, for doing that to us. Today, back to back. We're covering episode 107, episode 7, and episode 108. And we're going to just start off with Verlox Attacks, which is episode 7. All season, we've been leading up to this Verlox, and I just want to know, Danielle, like, they've never said what Verlox looked like. They never said what to really expect. So when they said, when we finally got to see him, what were your thoughts, and what did you think Verlox was really going to be like?
Okay, you want my honest
I
thoughts?
want, like, for real.
Okay, I thought he was going to be bigger, grander. Like, he is scary. But I wanted more. Ooh,
Yeah?
I just did. Like, we waited all season, and I wanted him to be crazy looking, scary.
Yeah.
Huge, ginormous, like a dragon.
Right. Oh.
And then
Verlox be a
he
dragon.
was just kind of like ugly, but
Because I'm feeling like with this episode, that's going to be kind of like we've been building up to this moment. We've had it in our heads of what we thought Verlox was going to be. And then, I mean, yes, he was terrifying. I'm not going to lie. He's like a demon.
Did he seem small to you, though?
He seemed very small.
Like short.
Yeah. Like,
I was like, oh, that's you? Here, let me slay you right now.
Let me slay you. I was actually expecting Verlox to be a... not like a cloud, but not like even like a person.
Like a being. You
like
didn't
a
think
being.
he'd
Yeah,
be-
like this dark force thing that only the one true hero can break.
Yeah.
You know, by their goodness and like that type of thing.
Yeah.
Like very fairy tale. So, yeah, I was kind of shocked. But speaking of evil, there is an issue that I would like to address on camera today.
Oh.
Yes.
Juicy?
A little juicy. As everyone knows, I have a certain taste for Christian from the show, and I have not been shy to talk about how I feel about him on this show. And I felt a little convicted, and I felt a little bad because I have been attacking his person, like Christian as a human being, and not so much Christian on the show. Christian on the show, I am very disappointed in the way that you played the show, but I am apologizing to you for certain things that I've said to you on AfterBuzz. And
You're such a good person, Melina.
I mean it from my heart. I don't know your life. I don't know if you're a dad, if you're married. I don't know anything. So just, if you're watching, I am sorry, and I will keep my lips sealed from this moment on. So back to more evilness with the Verlox.
Not to like touch on that just for one moment, but I think that's really commendable of you.
Oh.
So
Stop.
Oh, Melina.
Oh, Danielle. Stop.
But I have to
Look! AfterBuzz approves.
She's like,
thank you. No.
all I have to say is everyone lives a separate life outside of their show.
They do.
At the same time, I think there is some truth to be told on a if you're gonna play the villain and you knew you were doing it,
right. There's gonna get some backlash.
Yeah, there's gonna be backlash. So you were only doing what you knew.
That's right.
Meanwhile, the other paladins were on Team Christian, so we would have been if we were in
True.
there.
That
you
is
would have
true.
been.
I probably would have been the biggest Christian supporter.
Yeah, don't be so hard on yourself.
Oh, thank you. This is like a therapy session. Well, that's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in
All
to
right,
AfterBuzz. No. So we got to meet Verlox, and he was terrifying. Short, but terrifying. Not a being at all, a creature of some sort. And I guess I didn't quite understand when he was standing there to his introduction what was happening to the wall behind him. Did you see, like, there was, like, red things going up? Like, was the wall falling apart in the castle?
That's what it appeared, and I feel like on the last episode, too, it was almost a projection screen, or not a projection screen, but, you know, there was something on the wall that was making a statement to make him stand out.
Yeah, no.
And, yeah,
I agree with
sure
that.
Exactly what it was. But.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what that was. I have a feeling he was kind of like breaking the castle, and so everybody flees. They go to this random cave, which we're going to ask Leticia, because we have 2 paladins calling in. We have Adria and Leticia. We'll ask her if they really needed to sleep outside, because I'm not buying it. And they went straight into their challenge, which was. You can explain it better, because I was really confused watching this. I was like, wait, what's going on? What do you mean you can hear the dragon? I was very confused. The paladins all gathered around to do their challenge, and I guess the dragon was sleeping somewhere.
Yeah, now that was, so on Chapter 7, it was the Code Flag Challenge, correct?
That was the Code Flag Challenge?
Yeah, the first,
oh, well, there you go.
so the first episode was the Flag Challenge.
Oh, that's right, where the girls
chose girls versus the guys.
Oh.
Yeah.
What did you think about that? Good choice, bad choice?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was predictable, especially now that Christian is out, and he was the one that was kind of making his decisions the way he was. So, Bonnie did a great job, and I think we thought the girls were going to take this, right?
Wrong. You definitely thought the girls were going to take this. And the only reason why I was very iffy about the girls taking it is only because so far every challenge has had some sort of physical element to it.
Right.
We're yet to have one. Well, we'll see later that there was one without when they were doing the Watchmen. Yeah. But so far there's been some sort of physical element, and I just feel like the guys they've accepted their bromance and they've like clung to it, and I think it's almost like the way they move and the way they speak to each other is almost like they're doing it as one person, where the girls are still, they're kind of divided, and I don't think they work as well together, especially those 3. Bonnie, Leticia, and Lena couldn't be further apart. They're all very, very different. So in my opinion, I thought maybe they weren't going to do so well.
I thought in regards to communication, Bonnie was good about yelling it. The one time they went wrong is just with the shape. Like, that's right. Like when they went back to do it, Bonnie should have said an octagon is this, or a because that's really the girls would have won if it weren't for that. I agree. They would have, because they got their flag up way before the guys did. But I do have to commend the guys because they did take their time. Patrick not only yelled out the colors, the shapes. I mean, he went in the order like left green, right blue. I mean, he was pretty spot on. And the guys worked well together. And when I saw Danielle sit up, and all of a sudden I stood up. I have horrible posture, guys. So when the combinations weren't working and the guys weren't getting the code, what did Patrick do? He yelled at them to come up there and look at it, which that was smart. It was smart, and it could have been a little time consuming. If the girls had it spot on, they wouldn't have stood a chance because they took the time to do the switch.
Pardon the interruption, ladies, but we have a caller on the line. Let's see who it is.
Who shall join us?
Is it
in
Verlox?
This moment?
Oh my gosh, is Verlox on the
Adria.
phone? Oh, it's Adria.
Verlox, is that you?
You sound so feminine. Like, I had no idea. Oh, that's awesome. Adria, Paladin, Adria.
Yeah, you did it.
Adria, okay, I said your name twice and then I stopped with fear in my face. Like, wait, did I say it wrong? I even underlined her A, Adria. We're so excited.
Melina's been calling you A, if that's okay.
I have, because
you know what? Close enough.
Close enough. You have one of those names like my first name and Danielle's last name that people just get wrong. And so I've been wanting to call you Adria, or I think that's pretty much all.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, I pretty much just stuck with that.
You resorted to A.
And then I resorted to A because, you know, your name is Adria. Well, thank you for having you or for calling. I'm so excited. I'm thinking about having you banished, and I'm like, wait, she's calling us from Everealm. How are things now that you are back to
normal life?
Yeah.
It's great. It's we're sad to have Bonnie with us, but we're glad to have Bonnie with us and everything tonight. So.
Yes. Wait. What? Bonnie? Is that what she just said? Glad to have Bonnie with us. Where's Bonnie?
Yeah.
Oh, on the show. Okay.
Yes.
I
was like, is Bonnie on the phone?
Yeah, I was like, Danielle and I both thought the same thing. Wait, is Bonnie on the phone right now?
Oh my gosh, no.
Okay, because it was
totally
between you and Bonnie for the banishment, and unfortunately, you didn't have as many people stand behind you, and we saw you walk through the mysterious wall or whatever that is.
It's a mysterious smoke. Yes.
Yes. So up until, and I don't know if you've been following our show, I've said it a few times that they haven't really showcased you that much, and it made it kind of difficult to have like an emotional connection to your character on the show, unfortunately. How do you perceive it that way? How do you feel about that exactly?
They had limited time. I only made it to the 6th episode, and they wanted to show the things that were interesting and exciting. So it was not as interesting when I, in the horseback riding challenge, when I killed it with the spear and did really well with the archery, because it was so hilarious when I said for Everealm and missed hitting the skull,
Right.
So things like that, just, they didn't really have a chance to show me every time I did something awesome. So, they showed the things that were more fun to watch.
And
go ahead.
That totally makes sense. It's just kind of how it's edited together.
Right.
I think,
and also I'm not a smack talker. I'm not going to sit there and say things about other people, and so that probably makes me a little dull.
Aww.
Girl, I totally feel you on that. This is Danielle speaking, and I can totally relate. I think what we want to know, our first question is, were you in an alliance with Bonnie and Patrick?
Ooh.
That is an excellent question, yes. We were absolutely not in an alliance. From the very first moment that Patrick and Bonnie and I met each other, we just hit it off like a house on fire. We had so much in common, and we were just really, really great friends. We had not made any agreements about who was going to go and vote for what. We didn't discuss our votes with each other before challenges, and you'll notice that if you go back and watch some of these episodes again, you'll see that we didn't always vote together. But the other Paladins, maybe they were projecting a little bit. They definitely had the impression that we had some sort of an alliance. And in fact, I had a really great conversation with Leticia about that, just before, we went up to the Faith Challenge together, and she said, she actually apologized for not realizing that I was being completely sincere in the way that I was approaching things.
Interesting.
So, no, not in an alliance.
Huh. See, and I thought that you were, just from what they showed us, and just so quickly how people were building alliances, it just made sense that the three of you were in cahoots. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, but it didn't really make sense to me in terms of playing, if we're going to play the game and be in this world in Everealm where we're supposed to be trying to determine who is the true hero, then playing that kind of political game just doesn't seem to me like it belongs there. So we didn't do that.
That's interesting.
Did you find that because you knew you were all fighting to be the one true hero, that there wasn't as much strategy, especially when you were still in the game? Like, I don't know if you watch other shows, but there wasn't a lot of strategy involved right off the top, and you were all working together. Is that true as to how it really was?
We had a lot of camaraderie, and we really, really, I think, felt like we were all part of a team. And so, yes, there was a certain amount of maneuvering, I think, before the Faith Challenges, before we actually had to go and vote somebody off. But for the most part, I think, with some obvious exceptions, people were just trying to do their best, be their best, and, and just honestly try to be good at this, to be good at being the hero.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So we have another question for you, if that's okay.
I shall let you go, Melina.
I can't read that.
Oh, you can't read my writing. How sad.
I am so sorry.
We want to know, why did you fall in the Battle Dome challenge? Yeah. What was it, like you stepped backwards or you fell backwards? What happened there?
Honestly, I just lost focus. We had spent all day fighting with swords. They had finally given us our hero swords, and the Runes Guard had spent all day teaching us sword techniques, and sword play is actually something that I have some experience with, and heading into this challenge, I was so excited that I was finally going to get a chance to really show my skills. And, you know, they put swords in our hands, and they walked us over to the Battle Dome, and then to see that it had actually nothing to do with swords and that it was just a wrestling challenge, it was just, you know, really disappointing. And then, you know, I got in there and, you know, I'm being aggressive and I was, you know, trying to hit Leticia with the sword. And then I suddenly realized I'm just going to have to throw this sword and shield down and go over there and rip her off the wall, like the way that, you know, Christian and Andrew did to Lena. And that's going to be really no fun. And in that moment of having that realization, that's when I kind of lost it and just stepped backwards.
Wow. How did that feel? Because we know how we felt when we saw it.
Yeah.
You know, I was disappointed. I mean, it's disappointing to make a mistake like that, but honestly, just that challenge was no fun.
Yeah, no, it wasn't, and it was a very physical challenge, and we've said it several times that we felt that in that specific challenge, it was very unfair. I felt like there was some, you know, you guys were a little bit bamboozled and in choosing your teams. So I can understand.
And when you look at like Jasmine is like 120 pounds soaking wet. She's this tiny little girl, and to throw her into a cage match with a professional MMA fighter.
Seriously, I mean, yeah, it's just not fair.
Seriously,
yeah.
You know, I'm not sure in what universe people that think that could possibly be fair, but I'm sorry, if what you think is fair means that all of the other people have to make huge, ridiculous mistakes in order for someone to win, it's not fair challenge.
I actually agree 100%. Now, I have a question for you, Miss A, and I'm hoping that please don't take any offense to this because I don't mean it to be offensive, but there were a couple times on the episode that they talked about your age. They didn't say how old you were, and I'm not asking you how old you were, but they were saying
I'm
that
42.
Well, congratulations, because you definitely don't look it. Because my question to you was, they mentioned that you were older on the episode, and yet I didn't see that from you. And I wanted to know, how did you feel? Did you feel like you were going up against a bunch of kids, or how was that exactly?
You know, it's funny because Patrick and I are actually very close in age. When the two of us found out how old we were sort of fist bumped, and Andrew was like, "Oh my God, how do you guys do it? You don't look, either of you, like you're in your 40s." And we both looked at each other and said, "Clean living," and started laughing our heads off because it's not entirely true.
Oh.
But, you know, going against everyone else, I mean, I don't think anybody could look at Patrick and say that he's not in fantastic shape. And I'm in pretty good shape, too. I mean, I'm a weightlifter. I do Kung Fu. I was ready to go in there and be a physical competitor. And the fact that I am a little older, maybe a little more experienced with the ways of the world and with people around, you know, dealing with people in difficult situations, handling stressful situations, I certainly didn't feel that I was a disadvantage going in.
Right.
Fantastic. And I didn't feel that either. It's just it was mentioned a couple times, and I thought, well, dang it, how old is this woman? Because she doesn't look that old.
She's like, I'm 60.
I know. I'm 65. I'm doing great. So that's really, really interesting. Now, we've had several of the Paladins call in, which has been fantastic, because we've had kind of like the insiders. You know, we knew that you guys believed in Christian, and and now watching the shows, you were kind of surprised to see that he was up to no good at some points, and we know that Lena and Andrew had a little, showmance. Like, we know all those little details. Now, I want to know, from your experience, taking off from life, taking off from your job, giving that all up to go be the one true hero, which so far to us, you don't actually win a prize. Yeah. You just get bragging rights. How was that for you, and how was the, kind of like the experience at Everealm?
You know, it's funny because Patrick and I are actually very close in age. When we were It was a great experience. I mean, it was definitely one of those one-in-a-lifetime opportunities, and frankly, just being picked to be in this environment was kind of like winning a prize, and being able to be in that castle and have these experiences and meet these other really wonderful people was worth the difficulties that are associated with it. Absolutely.
What was the most, if you could pick one, and I know that's hard, but the most difficult thing about living in Everealm?
Hands down, without even thinking about it, the most difficult thing was that I had to be away from my child for 30 days. I couldn't talk to him or text or anything like that. So, that was tough.
So it
that's
was
an obvious answer.
So it was 30 days, or was there kind of some give or take between there, like 10 at a hotel, and then you go to, like, how did that work?
When we arrived in Austria, they took our phones away, and we were locked down the whole time because they wanted us to be in the mindset, not distracted by television, not distracted by outside things. And
Absolutely.
They wanted us to be in character.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, that's really good brainwashing tech.
It is. Was it weird to go back to technology? Was that like a strange adjustment back into that world?
Yeah, I mean, I work in the internet, so honestly, being away from the internet for more than a couple of days, I think I started to get some sort of a rash as a reaction from not being able to tweet. But I turned my phone back on, and I've got like 62 texts from people.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really fantastic.
You are loved.
You are loved, and I think, like I said before, unfortunately, I don't feel like they showcase, you enough on the show for us to get, like, super emotionally attached, but we loved you on the show. We thought you were great, as the senior mama, even though you really weren't, but that's how they portrayed you. And I know that even though your quest on ABC is over, I'm sure there's so many things that you're doing in your life, and I know a lot of your fans are going to want to keep in contact with you, Adria. Where exactly can friends find you on social media?
They can find me on Twitter at Paladin Adria, and also on Facebook at Paladin Adria. And I am posting there, live tweeting the show still, as I'm watching them for the first time, and talking about some of the other adventures that we're having.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Awesome.
We're really excited to see where you guys go after this show, and if it gets picked up for a season 2. We've been kind of promoting for people to sign the petition for it to. I don't know if that's really going to do anything. I hope it does, and I hope it gets picked up for a season 2. But before we let you go, Adria, is there any last words before we banish you off the phone?
Any predictions?
Any predictions? Any ill will towards anyone? This is a safe zone, so you can say anything you'd like.
Ready, go.
No ill will, because I think even, people who, I think Christian might regret some of the things that he said, but I think even, in those things, in that moment, he was just trying to play the game the best that he knew how, and I just feel really lucky that I had this experience and got to meet such great people. I mean, I hung out with Andrew last weekend, and I'm still talking with Bonnie and Patrick and Jasmine. I went to the Ren Fair with her. I love these people.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I really hope you guys can stick it out, because I know a lot of times in these reality shows people kind of break apart, but yours was so different, where you really build up camaraderie and brother and sister ships.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. Yeah. So on behalf of us, your fans, the AfterBuzz TV, we wish you nothing but the best. And
thanks for calling in.
Absolutely. Too. Hopefully we'll see you on TV again sometime soon.
Yes. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Bye, Adria.
Thanks, Adria.
All right. Bye-bye.
So proud that I got her name right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God. High five from across the table.
All right. Well, so we got some insight with Adria on her quest. And that was yeah. That was great.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was good to hear from her. And I think actually where we were in Chapter 7 is a perfect transition, because we were kind of talking about the flag challenge and the girls and the guys, and then, we know going into the Fates challenge.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Who do we have up here?
We have Leticia, we have Bonnie, and we have Lena. All the females, which, come on. Something interesting about today's show that I liked was that when, we have the winner, and then we have, whoever completed the challenge goes and helps the other people. And I'm wondering if that's something they wrote in after we saw the cage challenge where Bonnie fell and then Patrick and Adria ran to her rescue, that if that's something that they wrote in, because we haven't seen this before.
You know, I feel like they have done it briefly, but it is magnified over the last episodes.
Right.
Like, if you're not the winner, then you go help the losers.
Yeah.
Like, all of them.
All of them.
Know?
And
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic.
And that's the one true hero. That's that kind of camaraderie that Adria was talking about.
Yeah.
That you have to help. It's not like you're done.
Right, right.
If you won.
I thought today's challenge was easy, I have to admit. Compared,
flags?
Yeah, just the
Physically, yes.
Yeah, it wasn't as physical as the other ones, but it was interesting to see just how they needed to work together and communicate with one another and really pay attention to the small details, which then led to the banishment challenge of paying attention to small details.
Yes.
Of which I thought was a cool challenge, but yet the easiest of them all. Do you think?
You have to have a good memory.
You do.
There's a couple things that were important. They were in the dark.
Yes.
So you have to give them that. Like, no
True.
matter what we think would be easy to count horsemen and shields and swords, they were in the dark. So I don't think it was that apparent.
Right.
And you have to have a good memory. At the end of the day, if you do not have a good memory, that is not the challenge for you. You'd rather be running up and down hills.
I agree, because they sat up there for, we got to see it for a couple minutes. I don't know how long that really was.
Yeah.
The men came in, and they were Verlox's men. Yes. Oh, and we got to see it. I know.
Thinking about it.
It was terrifying in the middle of the night. No, it actually really wasn't at all terrifying. It was a letdown,
dramatic.
I must admit. But they come in, and the girls are sitting up on trees in like these little seats,
the chairs,
the watchman chairs, and they're looking down, which looked a bit dangerous, I have to admit. And then if you're afraid of heights, this challenge was just extremely difficult. Yeah, because so far they haven't done anything that's like really high up. I'm a little bit afraid of heights, even though like I'm a flight attendant. That doesn't make any sense. But I would sit there and I would panic, and I would have a hard time memorizing the things that I'm seeing.
Because you're thinking about how high up you are.
Yeah, and that I could move an inch, and then just who knows what's going to happen. What if the tree falls? Trees fall all the time. Right?
Not in Everealm.
Not in Everealm.
They are built sturdy.
They are by the queen. But the horsemen come in, and yeah, you're right. They had to count the shields and the swords.
How many men there were.
What are they doing?
Yeah.
Which way are they? I mean, they don't know what they need to memorize, right? So then your mind is also racing. What I did.
Pardon me again, ladies. We have another caller on the line
Oh,
for
well, perfect
you.
timing.
Perfect timing.
Is this Verlox? The second
Verlox,
attempt?
is this you?
Hello?
No, it's not Verlox.
Oh.
This is Paladin, Leticia. Welcome to our show. So glad that you were able to call in from the East Coast.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to be here. I was scared because I think Melina might have thrown up a little bit in her mouth when she heard I was going to be on the show.
Oh,
snap.
I like you.
Hi, Melina.
Hi, Leticia. Well, hello. Welcome to my world. No, I'm kidding.
I see.
I didn't throw up in my mouth. I will let you know, because that's disgusting, and I'm a lady, and ladies don't do that. But it's funny because I did mention it to Patrick, actually, your Paladin, and I said, Leticia's calling in to the show tomorrow. I was like, I wonder how she feels about that. Now, let me tell you something, lady. Here's the thing. When it comes to this show, there's certain people that you either have to cling to or you really just have to like write off. I must admit, I did not write you off. You have not been written off. You're not dead to me. But when it came...
An apology is coming next week, so I just want you to know that.
Because this is what I do. I put my foot in my mouth and then I apologize. But when it came to the show, it's just like how they portrayed you. I was just like, goodness gracious, she-woman, just let's, give these other girls a chance. And I just never got the chance to like fully bond with you until today's episode.
By the way, Danielle, always bonded with you. And
she
I
did.
think you're awesome.
She loves you.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
She
I
might get your
appreciate
face
that.
tattooed on her back.
I might.
She really loves
I thought you were a she-woman and just a super athlete, and I love
Yes.
that.
definitely an athlete. And it was funny because it wasn't until today's episode that I got to see slightly your heart, that's kind of like what I judged my feelings towards people on, was like how much heart did I see. And it's so funny because today was the first time, so I'm curious to go back and watch and be like, was I blinded by something? And the whole time she's been so vulnerable, but today was the first time I saw you as vulnerable, and I was like, oh my gosh, oh no, she's in the fates, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? So going into, you called it a perfect time because we were just going into talking about the banishment challenge specifically. You guys sitting up on the watchtower, Leticia, and I would love to get some insight on how that was for you. One, are you afraid of heights? And two, just how was that whole experience of sitting up there and then having to do what you had to do?
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, I mean, the challenge was awesome. I'm not afraid of heights. So that was one thing. But when I found out it was a memory challenge, you know, you go back to the young days when you used to play the memory and flip over the cards, and I just knew, you know, Bonnie is the type of person that'll write a song in 30 minutes and memorize it for a lifetime. So knowing that, you know, sitting in that tree, I was just like, all I could do, knowing that I didn't have a great memory, was just try to psych myself out and say, you know, I'm going to win this. I'm going to win this. But it was tough. It was really, really tough.
So how much time did you have from the moment that you saw the horsemen come in to the moment where you took your test, which I love that they put that on screen, by the way.
Yeah. The scroll.
Yeah, the scroll, and you took the test. How much time did you have? Was it a long time, or was it a short amount of time?
It was just a short walk through the woods, so I would say about 5 or 10 minutes.
Well, that's good, because then you didn't have to hold that
in your brain for that long time. Yeah.
Oh, but even still, you know, with all the excitement and everything that you're doing, it was really hard to hold that information inside your head. So
that is very true.
Lena and I lost by one item, so it was really, really tough. You know, at one point I looked at Lena and I said, I hope you got this. And she looked at me and she goes, I don't. And I'm like, oh, no. This is awful.
Yeah, no, that is awful. Well, when it came to, you know, picking the teams, and Lena picked you and Bonnie to be on her team, physically, I don't think there was even a question that if it was a physical challenge, you would have been the one walking away winning between the two girls, just because, I don't know, I'm just trying to be so politically correct right now and not offend people, because I've been offending people on our show.
No, all you're trying to say is that, bottom line, if it was a physical banishment challenge, you probably would have won, Leticia. That's correct.
I think it depends. I think I have a lot of body strength, but I think Lena, you know, she's quick, and she was a lot quicker than me and Bonnie. So it really depended on how the challenge was set up.
So when you were hanging the flags in the first challenge of episode 107, how was that whole experience? Was it easy to hear Bonnie? Was it easy to communicate back? Could you see the boys? Could you see what they were doing?
You try to ignore the boys, but Bonnie started losing her voice, actually. So it was actually pretty hard by the middle of it, because we could barely hear her, and we kept asking her to repeat herself. And then the whole thing with the flags, there were so many of them in the buckets, and they all looked the same, and it was really tiring to raise it up and bring it down. And then the whole thing with the Pentagon, me and Lena, you know, she said to me, you know, that's... She's like, wait a minute, is that a Pentagon? But I heard Bonnie tell me that it was correct, you know, and I thought she could see it. So I was like, forget it, don't worry about it. And we just kept going. But, it, you know, it worked to our disadvantage. I think that was the only flag that wound up, you know, doing us.
Goodness.
So it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking to go through. It was heartbreaking to watch back. It's still, the whole episode to me is still really heartbreaking.
It's so hard to watch it back, too, because I told Melina, I was like, if it weren't for that one, if Bonnie had just yelled out, like, octagon or whatever the shape was, that would have been it. The guys kind of, they were wasting time with having the other guy go up, which, granted, served them well, but it has to be frustrating to watch, for sure.
It is so frustrating. You know, I had a conversation with Andrew before we actually went to the challenge, and said, how would you pick teams if we had to pick teams? And I never had that conversation with Lena. I never thought that she would put the 3 girls against the 3 guys, because it leaves us very vulnerable.
Yes, it does.
but that's what happened. You know, there was nothing I could do once it was done.
So here's a question I have for you, and you must answer because you're on our show. Going into your banishment, and it was Bonnie, you know, succeeded, and she is continuing the quest, and it's you and Lena. Did you at all feel that the air quotes bond that Lena had with Andrew was going to affect Shondo and Patrick in a sense to where they wouldn't support you in the banishment? Or did you feel going into it that that didn't really have anything to do with it and people were going to stand behind you no matter what?
As far as Patrick's concerned, you know, I helped save him in the first challenge. I was hoping that would come back around to me. But at the same token, knowing that he was so close with Bonnie, I know that that's a one-person vote. You know, those two would be one person voting. And then Andrew and Lena had become so close, and I shared a room with Lena, so I knew the relationship between Andrew and Lena, and I knew that if it came down to Lena and me, it would definitely be Lena. And at that point, I started to kind of question the bromance between Shondo and Andrew.
Yeah.
But I still looked at Shondo as like a wild card, and I said, you know, there's a possibility I might get the vote. And unfortunately, you know, it didn't work out in my favor at all.
Right.
Nobody stood behind me.
No, which is so ironic. Go, Danielle.
Yeah, that's just really the next question I wanted to ask you. The ironic part is that you stood behind Christian and said, you know, someone should be standing behind him, which, to be honest, was the only move in the whole game that I could not understand why you did, because we saw what we saw in Christian. And then to not have anyone stand behind you, like no one thinks the same as you, and no one cares about your feelings, and no one's standing behind you. Like, how did that feel at that moment to know not one Paladin was standing behind you?
It was heartbreaking. You know, it was really hard. I'm not going to try to say that it wasn't, you know, Melina, to your point, you know, strong people still have feelings at the end of the day. So, you know, it hurt not to have anyone there. But at the same token, you know, we had made a vow in the beginning, all of us Paladins, that we would at least have one person standing behind everyone. So the fact that it didn't happen, and I know Andrew was the last vote, you know, it was hard. It was hard to digest. But I think once I went to banishment land, and I was really upset. But I was still proud of what I accomplished, and I was still, you know, I have no hard feelings. I love all the Paladins. Each one of them has taught me something about myself that I didn't know before. So the experience is amazing. But it's a game at the end of the day. And, you know, everybody kept coming to me, don't you think it's that they were intimidated? I don't know. You know, I don't know if that's the reason why. But I would hope that at the end of the day they saw that I was formidable, and maybe that's the reason why they didn't.
I think that plays a huge token in it. But I honestly, the reason why I felt more connected to you, Leticia, in this episode than any other episode was the fact that up until this episode, I am a true believer that, you know, Lena and Andrew have their showmance going on, and I was terrified that what they had, you can giggle, but I know I'm right. What they had, I was really terrified that Andrew was going to take that and, like, pollute the other guys with it. And then get them to stand behind Lena, because at the end of the day, I'm sorry, Lena does not have a heart of a hero, and I know you know her better than us, and I'm only going off of what I see on TV. I just don't see that much compassion and love and caring, and then also when it comes to the physicality of it all, I don't see her. I always give this analogy: if I'm being chased by a dragon, who would I want chasing, like running towards me? And if it was you or Lena, like, I'm sorry, Lena. Like, please go away. I want Leticia to save me at this very moment.
Melina will again apologize next week for that. Lena, wherever you are in Everealm, Lena, she's sorry.
Well, let me just say this. You know, it's really, really tough when you don't have a say in how you're portrayed. You know, so I think you know, they haven't shown a lot of Lena, especially in the beginning, probably because she makes it, you know, this far. But you know, a lot of people didn't see, too, that even though Christian was making all those comments, you know, there was a lot of Christian Andrew action going on in the castle. So it wasn't really a one-man show either. And I'll leave you guys with that. I'm not going to say too much. But there was a lot going on that really wasn't shown, and you can't. There's a storyline. There's a lot going on.
There's just too much, yeah.
So it's really hard to get a full picture of who we are.
True.
But I forgive you, Melina.
Oh, thank you.
I don't take it to heart, but yeah, there's a lot of things that you guys haven't seen.
Right.
Yes,
right.
there is. At the end of the day, there's a TV show that they're having to film, and as much as they would want to show every single character, they can't. Leticia, I think we're very proud of you. I know we are. It was such an incredible experience to be on the quest. We're not on it, but good God, do we love it. And we think it would have been so much fun to be able to be on it. And even you just watching you from the beginning to the end, even your body started to change and your attitude changed. It's kind of phenomenal what this show did to people. But we want to know what you're doing for the rest of your life. So can you tell us where stalkers like Danielle and us can find you on social media?
Oh, yes. Well, you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/LatinaZena. And then you can find me on Twitter at Leticia M. Reyes.
Okay, fantastic.
Awesome.
Latina Zena, which is perfect for you because that just kind of describes
Sums
you.
it up.
Yeah, pretty much. So thank you so much for coming on our show. We, believe it or not, we love you. We think you did a fantastic job.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Listen, I wasn't mad because you were still talking. So as long as there's chatter and you guys have been great supporters of the show, it's really appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, thank you. Absolutely.
Great job. You had a great run, and you're a warrior in my eyes.
Aww.
Thanks, girlfriend. I appreciate it.
She loves you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, we'll definitely
love me. I love it.
we'll definitely be in touch with you, and we wish you nothing but the best.
Great. Thanks, girls.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, how sweet.
Wow,
So
we
have
got so much info.
I know. That is just fantastic. So, as Chapter 7 ends, Leticia unfortunately goes home, which kind of led us to Chapter 8. Which was called the Dragon Slayer, I think, or not.
Yeah.
We're calling it that.
Dragon Slayer, that
Dragon
was
Slayer.
appropriate.
And the first challenge, I didn't understand, so I'm going to let you cover that because it made no sense to me.
Yeah, so the first challenge, basically the queen says the dragon sleeps during the day, so it's daytime, and they have to go shut the cage, which the dragon is in, sleeping.
Underground.
Correct.
Oh.
And so they have to go there and shut the cage. And basically honestly, it was a full-blown mechanical challenge.
Yeah.
Bottom line, and the takeaway from this challenge is it was a man's challenge. Hands down. And I'm going to say that for every female out there, especially you female paladins that went in on this. So it was Bonnie
and Lena.
I mean, come on. They were assembling parts. This is not stuff
it was all mechanical, gears shifting, apparatuses opening and closing. I mean, I would hope that I would have done well in this challenge.
I know I wouldn't have.
But it would be really difficult. So I didn't think it was fair. Again, one of those episodes and challenges where I just feel like it was more geared towards the men, and I hate that we're saying that about the quest because I know from meeting Jane, I'm sorry, I don't know why I called her
Yeah, Jane.
I don't know why I called her Jen. I'm sorry, Jane. I know you're watching. And Mark.
Really upset right now.
I know. And Rob, after meeting them, you could tell that they just had love and passion for the show, and they just wanted to make this huge production and make it phenomenal. And you could tell that never in what they were saying were they leaning more towards, like, well, we wanted a man to win. Like, and it's just, unfortunately, that's just kind of how it played out.
It is. And I feel like, especially with a challenge that requires gears and tools, like Lena had an entire bag
of
tools or parts that she could have put on it that wasn't even open. Like, a guy sees what they have and they're saying, I'm missing this. They turn around, they see the bag.
Lena
was just struggling.
Can we just agree, hopefully, that on that alone, she should have been banished? I think on that alone, on the fact that she missed such a huge step into the whole puzzle.
I'm only gonna defend her because she. Listen, I have I have love for anyone that owns up, and she did say in her confessional, she's like, I don't even have an excuse. That was my bad. Like,
I must have missed that.
It wasn't like she was making excuses.
Right.
I don't know. Like Bonnie,
yeah,
excuses.
She does make excuses. You're right.
She has a great heart,
yeah.
Bonnie. I love you. You have a great heart. I'll say that. But
yes.
She's full of excuses. Like,
yeah.
At least Lena didn't give me any.
She didn't. You're right. She manned up to her mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Still, at the end of the day, if you can't put, because a true hero, right, as we're calling them on the show,
right?
They're going to be strong. They're going to be intelligent. They're going to be witty.
And they're quick.
Yeah, they're going to be all those things. So if a true hero ran up on this contraption, whatever that was, they would have figured it. We needed one that would have seen the bag. So when I, again, if I'm being chased by a dragon and it's Bonnie or Lena running after me, I think I would just play dead. I don't know.
I was like, where are you going with this? Because I know you won't say Bonnie. I know you won't. I'm choosing Lena. Lena, I choose you.
Oh, how sweet. So it was disappointing to see that. And what was even more disappointing than all of it was to see Patrick, our hero, our Thor of the show, to see him just not do it. He just, what happened there, Patrick?
Yeah.
And I got upset that the first thing he said, and even though, everyone knows I love him, BFFs for life, he said, the first thing out of his mouth was an excuse. Well, the gears just weren't lining up, and I was just like, wait, what? Like, no, you're our hero. You need to be like, I tried, and I put my blood and soul into it, and it just didn't work. And that's kind of like, what I was expecting. Again, he might have said that, and it just got left on the editing room floor.
Yeah.
But I was really just like, you're my hero, and like, why?
You were really upset.
I was.
Meanwhile, I was celebrating Shondo, my man, for the win.
Yes.
And no, I have to say about Patrick, and again, Patrick, love you. But in this particular challenge, not only did you not complete it, but then you kind of were just over it. And Andrew, and I know we're going to disagree on this, Melina. Andrew and Shondo, they went over to help Bonnie and Lena.
Yeah, Andrew went to help his girlfriend, yes. As expected.
Andrew went to help Lena, and he kind of looked up at you with an attitude and said, are you just going to stand there, or are you going to help? And I thought to myself, well, yeah. I mean, just because you lost, Patrick, doesn't mean that you should stand there.
Okay.
You should, I know we're going to disagree, and that's okay. That's okay. I'm okay with that. But Patrick, you disappointed me this episode just a little. Shrivel.
My heart
And,
sinks into my chest. No,
breathe, Paladin, Melina.
Paladin, Melina. Okay, here's the thing, okay? Patrick, for one, you have to look at every episode so far, and he has been the one that will get up and run after the falling person, and he'll carry them.
For Bonnie.
Stop.
I'm sorry.
For anyone, it just always happens to be Bonnie who's falling. But it's for everyone. I believe it. No, this is truly what when we watched it on TV, it looked like you were just standing around doing nothing. But I don't believe that that's the case. What I believe happened was Patrick was there, and everyone was crowding. It was Sir Ansgar and Shondo and Andrew and Bonnie and Lena, and everybody's doing their part. And Patrick, being the one true hero and knowing how to evaluate a situation and know when he's needed and when he's not, realize that I am not needed at this moment, but I will stand guard. And then Andrew was like, yo. And then Patrick went over there and, did his thing.
I have no words for the hero in your voice that you speak about Patrick. It's really ridiculous.
It is true.
You went over there. You did this. Well, okay, regardless of that fact, is that Shondo and Andrew won. And so it put Patrick up for the first time, right? In the Fates Challenge. It was, not the first time. Second time.
Yeah. Shondo hasn't even been in there.
Yeah.
Doesn't even know what it looks like.
My man, Shondo.
I can't wait to have him on this show. I don't know. What are you going to do?
Shondo.
She loves Shondo, apparently. We all love Shondo. He's great. He's from Houston, Texas. I lived there for 7 years. Love Houston. Love Shondo. So hopefully we'll get to see more of him. But
let's talk about the Fates Challenge.
Yeah, I want to talk about this Fates Challenge because here's my thought. Okay. And this is what gets me, and I think it gets me and it gets other viewers kind of upset about this show, is that they live in this fantasy, correct? Correct. And they know that none of it is real, but they try to kind of
go along with it.
Kudos to you guys for faking it till you make it. Now, to us who know that this is reality TV and a fantasy world mixed together, when certain things like the egg will burn you comes out of people's mouths and then people don't touch the egg, it's really frustrating. Yeah. Because I'm like, just grab that friggin' egg and run with it. Why would you not? Just grab it. So what? If it really did burn you, it's your prerogative as the one true hero
to get third-degree burns and possibly die.
You could.
For your fellow paladins.
That's right. You would never be forgotten, and you could grab the egg and just crush it. And I get so frustrated about that part of it because it's like,
totally
right.
There's so many frustrating parts where you want to be like, but this isn't real, and then we have to remember, well, it's not. It's a fantasy. Like, it is hard, and this episode was a little over the top with some of the storylines and then playing to the storylines, and so it's very hard to differentiate, but it's part of the show. It's part of the show,
and we go along with it, and we love it. We're in this fantasy with you guys. That's why we do this show every single week, and so we absolutely love it. So it looked very difficult. I think today's challenge, not physically was the most difficult, but mentally might have been, because you had to figure out how to move the egg up without the egg falling, and that
would have been hard. I mean, we don't know how heavy the egg is.
True, we never got to ask. We should have asked nobody because none of the paladins called in. Next week we'll definitely ask how heavy was that egg, because we learned that cage was 75 pounds, and we saw Patrick huffing and puffing to get it up. So if my one true hero can't get it up, well, that sounded bad.
Then
then no one can get it up. But we saw Lena get up to the top, and then boom, the egg is gone.
Yeah, and she did such a great job. I mean, she was right there. She was right there. So I got to give her props for that.
Yeah, because when it braked for commercial, I even told you, I said, she won. She got it. It's going to be Patrick and Bonnie. And it wasn't.
So Bonnie and Lena, here we are. And it was pretty much, we pretty much knew Patrick was going to, Shondo was the only one. Where is he going to go? And I think we assumed, because him and Andrew are a little closer knit, that was going to happen. So,
yeah, definitely. And I think what was interesting was in the so Patrick won, obviously, and he goes back to his bros.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because it's like all dudes.
Yeah, it was weird to see just three of them.
It was very bizarre with their hands laid out. Anyway, he goes back to them and tells them kind of like a recap of what he saw and what he experienced. And I thought it was interesting because Andrew said, we just want to know who did what and how. Mm-hmm. And Patrick couldn't really answer that. And they made it sound like a bad thing. Like, he couldn't answer that. But he's so focused on your silly egg. And when he went to help, Bonnie was the one who needed the most help. So he went and helped Bonnie because Lena already had her egg out. Like, she was good. So he goes back and helps Bonnie, and Bonnie tells him, "Oh, I couldn't do it. The egg fell." She got her little whiny voice. Love you, Bonnie. And so that's all he knows is that Bonnie's egg fell.
What he knows well enough is that Bonnie needed help.
Yes. Again.
He saw Lena's egg out, so he should have been able to assume Lena was doing a much better job than Bonnie.
So when he went back, this is where I get really confused, and please correct me, and we'll ask him next week when we talk to him, since I think he'll win. When he goes back, I do. He tells the boys that Bonnie's egg fell, correct? And she would have won had her egg not fallen.
Right.
Which I was really confused because that's not like a positive in Bonnie's case, right? To make people want to vote for her. Because then it's like, oh, well, Lena got her egg out. But then we need to go back to the mechanical challenge that Lena completely forgot the bag, and we didn't even, how is that not even applied?
You wonder how much they actually show. This is one of those things where it's like, I just felt like that table conversation didn't go There wasn't a lot of details.
It wasn't a lot of details. And I'm sorry, Andrew, I'm sorry, Lena, especially if you guys were dating other people while you did this show. But I think you guys had a showmance, a good one during the whole time. And I think that Andrew's decision will always be based on that alone. And I think that he will...
Or if not a showmance, a very strong bond. Like...
Yes.
People that you know are going to have your back the entire time.
Yeah, sure, that one. And
it's easy to assume because it's a male and female that there's a showmance.
I just have to say that every time I've mentioned it with a Paladin, no one has corrected me, and they all get very shy. So they giggle. Leticia giggled. Thank you for your confirmation with your giggle. So I think because of that, Andrew will always be by Lena's side, and I think that he will get Shondo. Ever since they had the challenge with the doors, remember when they had to pile up the doors and Christian kind of threw the game?
Yeah.
Ever since that, I think they started building a really strong bond, Shondo and Andrew, and I think they're going to stick together, and Andrew will stick to Lena.
Yeah.
Which now will leave Patrick by himself.
Yeah, and that's what makes it interesting. Me. And that's why I'm not maybe necessarily in agreement that he'll be the one true hero. Wait, can we prediction this bad boy?
Ooh.
Your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Oh, that was very clean.
Oh, that was weird. There's no...
It wasn't like... Whoa.
Oh, okay. There.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ
There it goes.
TV.
It just got creepy.
So we said bye to Bonnie. Yes. It was sad. Bonnie, your farewell was... The tribute on there was
ridiculous.
Obviously, you can tell.
Yes.
You made an impact.
Yes.
And you did. You're such a positive person.
Very positive.
A circumstance like Castle Sanctum and Everealm, you
Yeah.
blew it out the water. You remained positive no matter what got you down, which was a lot at times.
It was a lot. And I definitely, you know, when I say ridiculous, I mean ridiculous in a positive way, because nobody else got such a tribute. And I think the reason why Bonnie's tribute was so big and was so strong, I think because, one, the producers loved her, and I don't see how they couldn't. And two, I really think she was kind of like a fan favorite in the sense of people...
Underdog.
Yeah, you love the underdog, and she was the underdog who made it to the 8th episode, and that's fantastic.
And she just strikes me as like a real good person outside of all this. And like just a solid person, which is
absolutely. Great. And we'll know more next week because we will have Bonnie here in the show. Oh. And who will we have in the show next week?
Okay, get ready for this. Sir Ansgar
the Fierce!
Oh, the Fierce. No, the Fierce, that's right.
Sir Ansgar the Fierce.
Maybe Bonnie can sing to him.
That'll be fantastic.
Maybe we can on the table.
On the table, the Fierce, and it's gonna be great. I'm gonna have beer. It's gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be a good wrap up. So do not miss our after show next week.
Do
so
not miss it.
Predictions. Okay, what do you think?
Wow, it's crazy. This is coming to a wrap, but I think my final prediction, and part of this is emotional. Yes, connection. Shondo, I think I want you to be my one true hero.
Oh my gosh, I think she just proposed to you, Shondo. Yeah. We'll have to see what he says to your answer. I think, so do you think, here's my question. Next week we have 2 episodes. Episode 1, who do you think is getting banished? Because we need 2 going into episode 3, I believe. Or episode 10.
I kind of want to say it's going to be Patrick. I know.
Leticia, I just threw up in my mouth, like right now. I guess ladies do that.
Maybe Lena, but I feel like they can't have all guys. That's not right.
Okay, I disagree. Here is what I think.
It's okay.
I think
what this is for.
Oh, my fingers are tingling. I can't believe you just said that.
Remember we therapized earlier and we were friends?
Okay, that's right. We're back. I think that Shondo will make it to the final. Okay. I do. I think it'll be him and against whoever, whatever. So I honestly think it would be very Romeo and Juliet if Andrew and Lena both get banished. Mm-hmm. I would love to see that, star-crossed lovers just beep, done. And then I'll apologize next week. And then Patrick and Shondo for the final. I think it'll be a showdown between Patrick and Shondo. And I mean, I asked Patrick to be my one true hero weeks ago, so I'm sticking to my proposal.
Patrick, you're great, but I'm going Shondo.
I'm going Patrick. Shondo, Patrick, Shondo, Patrick. I'm very excited to see what's
Wonder
going to
what
happen.
James is doing.
James is in Chicago. I am so sorry, you guys. I forgot to tell you. James is in Chicago, and he is on his way over here, so we will see him for the finale.
Yes.
It'll be a full house with Bonnie and Sir Ansgar.
Cannot wait.
And you guys know how much we obsess and love this show. So we just ask you to check out our YouTube channel. Vote.
Rate, subscribe,
vote.
comment.
We
Give us
would
5
love
stars.
to keep
5.
5 stars if you love us, and then 4 stars if you don't. We would love to keep the conversation going, so just reach out to us. We'll reach back to you. Danielle, where can our...
You can find me on Twitter at Danielle Elise P and on Instagram at Danielle Pascente.
That's perfect. And you can find me, Melina, at Melina TV on Twitter, or at Melina TV on Facebook. So on behalf, I know, one more episode, you guys, and we're almost done. I can't believe this. We might cry, we might laugh, who knows what's going to happen.
Cheers our AfterBuzz mugs to Sir Ansgar the Great.
The Fierce, and he is coming next week. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we can't wait to see you next week. Whoop, whoop.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.